Good morning, children. Welcome to the today's session. Children, in the last class we tried to understand about the condensation, relative humidity and even the precipitation. The word precipitation is actually derived from a Latin word called as precipitatio, which mean fall headlong, to plummet actually. So this Latin word precipitatio is the source to the present precipitation and different forms of precipitation when we talk about. Rainfall is the most common form of the precipitation, and when condensation takes place at different temperatures, they fall below the freezing point. The water vapor condenses directly into the ice crystals and it falls down in the form of powder, in the flakes, in the form of white flakes and white powder, which we call it as a snowfall. And snowfall is quite common in the middle latitudes and in the higher latitudes, but in the lower latitudes we experience only the rainfall because of the temperature. The temperature goes below the freezing point in the middle latitudes and in the higher latitudes. That's the reason it leads to the snowfall. When the rainfall occurs through a cold layer of air near to the earth's surface, the raindrops get frozen into the frozen into ice and fall down, and that we call it as a sleet. It's called as very near to the earth's surface. When it gets frozen, that leads to the sleet. Okay, after a cold rainfall, when you walk on the road, you can observe the sleet. Okay, it will be slippery, it will be slipping. Such kind of fall is called as a sleet. And there is also another kind of rainfall called as hailstones. Even the ice crystals, they increase in the size of the ice crystals much in larger centimeters of diameter, and they fall onto the ground called as hailstones. And hailstone is not good for the crops as well as for the buildings, because they get spoiled. The houses get spoiled with the hailstones. So these are the forms of the precipitation. And recently, due to the environmental crisis, we are even experiencing acid rain, the rainfall which is caused with the chemicals, because of the chemicals. Okay, so this kind of colored rainfall is a acidic rain, okay, which is also not good for the earth. So this is a recent form of the precipitation. So coming to the types of the rainfall, there are three types of rainfall, children. I talk about today types of rainfall. So there are three types of rainfall. One is convectional rainfall. Second one is orographic rainfall, and third one is cyclonic rainfall. These are the three types of rainfall. These three, let us see them in detail. What is convectional rainfall, what is orographic rainfall, and what is cyclonic rainfall. Convectional rainfall is a regular method of the rainfall which we observe. Generally, this type of rainfall takes place in the areas where the moist air over the heated ground rises up. Generally the moist air, when it gets heated up, it rises up and becomes warmer than the surrounding air, and it is forced to rise up, and when it rises up, it gets expanded and it gets cooled down. So the moisture which is present in that will be deposited back onto the surface as a rainfall. So convectional rainfall is very common in the low latitudes, especially equatorial and tropical region, and this is also very common on hot summer days. So in the interior parts of the continent, when it is hot in the morning, and there will be a very heavy rainfall in the evening, as we experienced during the summer season. Such kind of rainfall is called as a convectional rainfall. The raised air, the warm air rises up, it gets cooled down, and it deposits back the water. So that's called as a convectional rainfall. This kind of rainfall sometimes accompanied by thundering and lightning also. Huge heavy showers will be there with thundering and lightning. This kind of rainfall is most common in the low latitudes. And second kind of rainfall is orographic rainfall. Oro means mountain. So what is this orographic rainfall mean? It's actually derived from the Greek word called as oro, which means mountain. So this occurs when the moist wind blows, then when it flows to rise over a mountain, when it on the path, if it comes across on the path of the winds, when the mountains come, it is forced to rise up. It rises up, and when it rises up, let us imagine this as a mountain, children. This as a mountain. Okay, this is the windward side. The wind in which direction it is blowing is the windward direction. Because of this mountain, what happened? This wind rises up, and it causes heavy rainfall on this direction. On the windward direction, there will be a heavy rainfall, and after it leaves its moisture, the wind moves in this direction. This is called as leeward direction. This is called as windward direction of mountain. This is windward direction, and this is leeward direction of the mountain. There will be a heavy rainfall on this side. This kind of rainfall is called as orographic or orogenic rainfall. Mostly, commonly people call as orographic. And this leeward direction, you don't find any rainfall because the moisture is lost here, okay, on this direction, and this direction on this side of the hill, on the leeward direction of the hill, there will be no rainfall. This kind of rainfall we mostly experience on the Western Ghats. The winds blowing from the Arabian Sea generally rises due to the Western Ghats, and there will be a heavy rainfall on the western coast. But whereas on the interior side, you don't find any rainfall. This kind of rainfall is called as orographic rainfall. And this part of rainfall makes the region like Deccan Plateau and central part of Deccan Plateau dry, and it is also called as a rain shadow region. This region is also called as a rain shadow region. So we have discussed today about the two rainfalls. One is convectional, second one is orographic. Third one is about the cyclonic rainfall. Cyclonic rainfall means this type of rainfall is actually associated with the passage of a cyclone or a depression. You know what is a depression? A low pressure area which gets formed is called as a depression. There are two types of cyclones actually. One is the tropical cyclone, the other one is a temperate cyclone. These cyclones are divided into two. One is a tropical cyclone and the second one is temperate cyclone. So cyclone, actually cyclone is a term which is derived from the Greek word called as a kyklon, ky. It's a Greek word. What is the meaning of this cyclone? You know, revolving. Because the winds make the water in the ocean revolve. For that reason it is called as a cyclone. Cyclone is nothing but which means revolving. So tropical cyclones, actually the tropical cyclones are warm core vortex circulation of tropical origin with a small diameter. Small diameter in the sense hundreds of kilometers of diameter it has, often of an approximately circular shape. So because it is a cyclone, as I told you, it's a circular in motion, okay. It keeps on revolving the water. There is a picture given in the textbook also, you can see that, okay. This is what gets developed because of the surface pressure, which is 900 millibars, less than 900 millibars. So with sustained maximum wind speed of 33 miles per second, so these get developed over the warm sea surface where the temperatures are between 26 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius. They move towards the land. Slowly they keep moving towards the land, and when they come across, when they come onto the land, when they hit the land, then you cannot imagine the devastation it brings. The cyclone like Hudhud cyclone and Laila cyclone has ravaged most of the coastal places, as you all know that. These are the tropical cyclones I am talking about, because we fall under the tropical region. The cyclones which we experience in Bay of Bengal in the months of October, November, December are the tropical cyclones. The next one is the temperate cyclones. These occur when the cold and dry winds come across the wet and warm water. So here you know it very well, the cold dry air is very dense. The air will be very dense here. They converge, they mix with the warm and wet lighter air masses. The light air, what happened? It rises up, it is lifted up by the dense cold air and results in a rainfall, and such kind of rainfall is called occurred because of the rising air, and that is called as a temperate cyclonic rainfall. And what about the distribution of rainfall across the world? When you look at the distribution of the rainfall across the world, between the latitudes from 10 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees 10 degrees north and 30 degrees north and south of the equator, due to the trade winds, rainfall will be heavier on the eastern coast and decreases towards the west. That means the eastern coast region of these latitudinal extent region receives heavy rainfall than the western coast. Between the latitudes of 40 degrees and 60 degrees north and south of equator, due to the westerlies, the rainfall will be heavy on the west coast and it will be decreasing towards the east. That means reverse. In 10 to 30, the eastern coast will receive more rainfall. In 40 to 60, the western coast will receive more rainfall. So this is how the low pressure areas, especially around the equator, receive high rainfall, and this also happens because of the rainfall. The low pressure areas gets developed and will be flowing towards the high pressure areas. The rainfall will be higher over the oceans than on the continent. So this is how the things takes place, children. In the next class, we shall see about the next unit. Thank you.